Hi, Taylor T. Carlson, and once again, it's vinyl haul time. Last few weeks I've been going around to a few stores around town, and needless to say, it's pretty much inevitable that I have to add to my vinyl collection. Quite a few new finds here, and let's go ahead and get started. I bought this from my buddy Joey over at Record City. This is the remastered reissue of Judas Priest Point of Entry. This actually uses the original UK artwork, whereas if you remember right, the US version had that weird artwork that was basically printer paper laid out across the desert. I don't know what they were going for with that cover, and hell, I don't really know what they're going for with this cover, but it doesn't change the fact that this is still one of my personal favorite Priest records. Kind of underrated because it came out between British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance. But you got classics here like Heading Out to the Highway, Hot Rockin', Desert Plains. The list goes on, and this is a record I really wish got more credit in the Judas Priest canon. Here's our liner notes and artwork. You got the lyrics on that side. Another find at Record City, one of my personal favorites. Queen, Innuendo. Innuendo was the final studio album from Queen before the death of Freddie Mercury in 1991. This album came out earlier in that year. The vinyl release of this actually has some track lengths that are slightly edited to accommodate the release, fitting all on one vinyl disc. There are other releases available that do have the full running order, splitting it across 2 LPs, but this is a very underrated swan song of sorts for Queen, and it's one I wish didn't get so overlooked. Probably best known for the song The Show Must Go On, but then it also has the title track with a guest appearance from Steve Howe from Yes doing flamenco-style guitar. But then there's other great tunes like I'm Going Slightly Mad, Headlong, These Are the Days of Our Lives. If you're a Queen fan, don't overlook this one. Another find from Record City. This is actually not a remastered reissue. This is an original that I found sealed over there. This is Huey Lewis and the News, Small World. I love Huey Lewis. Seen the guy live in concert 4 times. I'd love to see him again someday. I've heard he's had some issues, so I don't know if he'll ever be touring again, but great musician. A lot of people probably know him best for the songs he did for Back to the Future. And this album came out after Back to the Future and then the 2 really popular albums that he had. This was a little more mature of an album, a little less pop, but really no less excellent. Huey's been known to call this one of his favorite albums he ever did, and it's not hard to see why. Again, not really a hit on this album, but I still appreciate it greatly, and I'm really happy to add it to my collection. I wish it was one that got a little more credit at the time of release, though. Found this in the budget bin at Record City, one of the real surprising finds. This is Alice Cooper, Muscle of Love, and the original cardboard sleeve cover, no less. Can't believe I found this, let alone in the budget bin. And then inside, we have the sleeve that has the actual record, and you got this goofy theme art with them as sailors ready to go spend money in some nude wrestling establishment. And then we see the aftermath. I love Alice Cooper because not only is the guy a great musician, he's clearly got a sense of humor about things too. It's also amazing to see Alice Cooper's transformation over the years. He was once a drug and alcohol addict, but the guy cleaned his life up, and now Alice is pretty much just the character he plays on stage. I mean, the guy's a born-again Christian and he plays in celebrity golf tournaments. Who would have thought? Going to stick with Alice Cooper for 2 reissues of classic records of his that I got over at Zia Records not too long ago. This is his 1980 album, Flush the Fashion. These are Alice's lost years. This was a period in time where he claims to have been so drugged up and drunk he doesn't even remember making the records. I mean, that's pretty intense right there. Roy Thomas Baker produced this, who worked with artists like Queen, Journey, The Cars, Foreigner, one of the great producers in the business. Here's the... This one actually comes with a separate inner sleeve with liner notes, and then a separate sleeve that holds the disc. Great art of Alice there. Got your lyric sheet there. And then we look at the actual record itself. One of my favorite things about this release, it's this sort of teal marbled look. I love colored and transparent vinyl, and this one, I don't think I've ever seen one that's quite that color before, so needless to say, I was pretty happy to pick this one up. More Alice Cooper in my collection is always a good thing. It's one of my favorites. I'd love to eventually be able to get all of his albums on vinyl. It's Sticking with Alice for one more release. This was the follow-up to that previous album. This one is called Zipper Catches Skin. If you look really closely, it says Alice Cooper in the red letters there. There's a blood smear, but this is actually text that has, all the titles. Back cover there. Another nice photo, which really shows off his sense of humor. And I don't know if this one even came with a lyric sheet or anything like that, but the record itself, again, went for a nice gimmick here. It's transparent like a lot of records, but if you look closely, it's kind of black marbled on there as well. It's hard to see it on the webcam here, but great looking reissue. Again, always happy to add Alice to my collection. Next up, I actually ordered this one off Amazon. This is a remaster of a classic new wave pop rock record. This is Joe Jackson, Look Sharp. This is Joe Jackson, the late 70s, early 80s new wave artist, not to be confused with the father of Michael Jackson, who was also named Joe Jackson. But here's our back cover. Probably best known for the classic pop hit song, Is She Really Going Out With Him? That's been used in more TV shows and movies than I can count. But another major highlight is the closing track right here, which is entitled Got the Time. If that sounds familiar, it's a track that was later remade by heavy metal band Anthrax. And Joe Jackson's version, surprisingly, is not too different from the Anthrax version. Another find over at Zia, one of my all-time favorite bands, Cheap Trick. This is their 1977 debut album. This is a little more raw and less polished than the albums that came afterwards. A lot of people have actually said they preferred this sound. Jack Douglas produced this, probably best known for his work with Aerosmith. Their 3 subsequent albums were produced by Tom Werman, who took the more slick, pop, glossy approach, which has been a point of contention for years for many people. And oddly enough, if you notice, this record's split into Side A and Side 1, because the band didn't feel that any of their material was 2 or B. They thought all their material was number 1 and A grade. Kind of hard to disagree, because I love Cheap Trick, and that first album is one of their best. Tracks like L.O. Kitties and Taxman Mr. Thief remain personal favorites. And one more in this slot, and this is Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill. Their first full-length album, and the one that introduced the world to them. Great looking gatefold there. Artwork folds open to reveal this Boeing 727 crashing into a wall. Instant classic. This record was released on the Def Jam label, and of course produced by Rick Rubin, who went on to produce a lot of other artists, including Metallica's Death Magnetic record, and he also produced those comeback albums that Johnny Cash did in the late 90s. So, one of those guys that really keeps himself busy. Here's our actual paper sleeve of the record. Got a shot of the band on that side, and you got the Def Jam logo on this side. Liner notes down there, of course. And once again, of course, the record is not just a plain old record. It's got this sort of transparent, foggy look to it. I love how that looks. And if you've ever heard of the Beastie Boys, if you've ever heard any of their stuff on the radio, odds are good the song you heard came from this record. It was their first one, and it remains probably their most popular of all. The tracks on here include... I'm going to have to look at the actual record, because I don't think they have the song list anywhere else. But hits on here include, Fight for Your Right to Party, Girls. And on the other side, we've got No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Paul Revere, Brass Monkey. Their first album, and I would say still their best. Have you made any great vinyl finds lately? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Is there a spot in your town you like to go for records, or are you more of an online shopper? Also remember to subscribe to my channel for more content, because I'm always posting new videos, and give this one a like if you found it helpful or interesting. I'm Taylor T. Carlson, and I'll see you in my next video.